Welcome to another episode of Tommy's Trains. Today I've got another small train to go over with you, and I think you'll like this one. And it's been kind of my goal to figure out for the 2025 Christmas season what's the most affordable train set in each gauge. So this is the N gauge one, and you can get this one pretty cheap. In fact, if you go to the comments and look at the pinned comments, you'll see that I've got a direct link to this train set. And if you use that link to buy the train set, I get a small commission off it. It's nothing to write home about, but if you're interested in this train set and you hit that link to go to see this train set, then it helps me out a little bit. So opening this up, pretty much standard packaging from Amazon. So this is a small train, and I always try to find a Christmas train every year, and this is the one I found for this year. It's kind of cute. So this train has the gray roadbed easy track system, which is the nickel silver. This is the black, which is the metal alloy, steel alloy. It's not quite as good. It tends to rust and get tarnished a little easier than this. This one you can just clean it off with a rag usually. So taking a look at the Spirit of Christmas train set, ready to run, N scale set, and taking a look at some of the graphics on there. They're not too bad. Sometimes, they're hard to read. Like, I can't really read that very well, so that's kind of tough, but nobody reads that anyway. So taking a look at the train, we've got an 060 steam locomotive, combine. Combine basically is baggage passenger. And we've got a passenger car, and we've got two passenger cars. So these old-time coaches, they're pretty much the same. Some of the different coaches, they had the portals to walk through the doors, so you wouldn't see these little decks, the little porches, so to speak, on them. So these are pretty much interchangeable either way. Complete, ready to run, electric train set. You can look at the back. The packaging's pretty good. It's pretty typical. Comes with 060, two coaches, combine. So almost 3 foot by 2 foot of track. So you got 4 straights, a curved plug-in terminal, power pack, instructions. And then if you get the track packs, it tells you how many extra pieces of track you need to make these, and it tells you the size of the track. So you can get the world's greatest hobby track pack, and I'll put a link to that also. And you can make yourself a pretty decent little train set for these. These ones I kind of like for people who have limited space available and they want to have either a seasonal train or they want to have a layout. Great thing about N scales, you can put a pretty decent train set in about 2 foot by 3 foot, or even smaller, 2 by 2. Some people, they take an old door, a foam core door, which is about 3 feet by 6 feet, and you can make a really big layout as far as N gauge goes on a small set. We'll go ahead and pop this open and have a look at it, set it up, and give it a go. A lot of these trains you'll find will be for sale on my eBay page, and I'll put a link to that as well. Some of these trains, I've had for a while, not this one of course, but some of them, and you'll be able to go ahead and maybe bid on those if it's something you're interested in. And I basically, what I do is I scour the internet, I scour Marketplace. I don't bother with Facebook because people will lie to you anyway, but I find what's the average price of the train set, and that's pretty much where I'm at. You've got little finger holds in here to pull it out. Here's your instruction sheet in there, and we've got extra couplers. These are the old Rapido style couplers. Those, we'll take this plastic off here, and we'll come back and take a look at the train itself here in a moment. So the Bachmann Easy Track, I'm pretty happy with it. There's a lot of things to say about Bachmann, but their track is not one of them. As far as I'm concerned, I've never had issues with Bachmann track as far as the newer track goes. So this track is similar to all the Easy Track. Got the little ring tabs or little hooks here, and then you slide it together. Make sure that none of the rails jump, because you got the connectors here, and what happens is the rails like to jump up over it if you're not careful, even though you're plugging it in with the other way. So you kind of have to really get down there and take a look. And then when you're done, you want to run your fingers over it, take a look at it that way. So we'll just put this track together real quick, and then I'll be right back. Me personally, I like the Kato track better. I just find it's a little bit easier to work with. I think it's a little better quality, and they have more products available, more options. But for initially setting up a train set, there's really nothing wrong with Bachmann Easy Track. What you want to do those with these controllers, they're really base level quality. They work. You want to have them on a switched outlet or a power strip or something, because they no longer have any sort of on-off button, so they're on whenever you plug it in. Track cable is the same HO or N. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And I actually believe the G scales, from what I remember, it looks the same. So not a big deal, but something to remember if you want to go with make a bigger set eventually. So a little tiny 060 train, some styrofoam in between the locomotive and tender. The tender and locomotive are connected. These are pretty easy to rail. You do have the railer, but they're pretty easy to get on the tracks, and it does have good weight. I've got another one of these. I think it's from the Yard Boss or Yard Master or something, and it's the same train. It's just different color. It's pretty good quality. It's for an entry level N scale steam locomotive, you're not going to get any better than this. So, you know, Bachmann, you can say what you will, but these locomotives are fine. So these have the little Easy Mate connectors on them. They're okay. I oftentimes have issues with the Bachmann Easy Mates not, I can already see it. They don't like to stay connected. So you may be running around in circles and all of a sudden half your train comes off, and if you're not paying attention, it'll pile into the back of it. So if I want to say one bad thing about these before I even get started, is I can already tell you the couplers, they're a piss off. You can already see I'm having issues here, derailing everything. And so, you know, people, this is what the biggest complaint is that people have with these, is they don't like to stay connected. Is there a trick to this? If there is, I haven't found it. So if you know what it is, let me know, because already I've got issues. Haven't even turned it on yet. So, you know, the locomotive, like I said, decent quality. It's got pretty good graphics on it. You know, they're separate wires for the grab irons. It's pretty well detailed. The tender looks pretty good, you know. So not an issue there. Already behind the 8-ball here trying to get this thing hooked up. So we'll run the locomotive here for a second. So it's got pretty good throttle response. The side rods. You know, you got pretty complex side rods with these. You know, some are really chintzy, but these ones are pretty good. I do notice it's a little jerky though. You know, if you get a Kato and then you go to this, you'll notice it's just not as smooth. It's not horrible. And again, if you're new to the hobby and you're just getting started out, this isn't a bad way to start. But it could be a little bit discouraging when you start buying things and the cars don't stay on. Just trying to see if I can come on sideways or something and hook it, because they're supposed to automatically couple, but it didn't. I really feel like we're going to have problems with the coupling on this, but we'll find out. I have the Broadway Limited, and I want to love it, but I have the same issue. It just, the cars don't stay on. It's the Easy Mate couplers. They're just bad design. So you do get the Rapido couplers with it. You do have the Rapido couplers, and these are pretty much foolproof. They don't come unhooked. So it's going to take you a minute to change them over. But if you get too frustrated with these knuckle couplers, you can always put the Rapidos on. And there's plenty of old trains, N-scale trains on eBay or Marketplace that have Rapido couplers on them. So you can see I keep losing my coaches. You could run it in reverse, I guess. So how do you hook this track down? I use a glue gun. Some people use the sticky dots. I've seen those. You get those at like any place that sells stationery supplies, crafts. So the track is connected well. I don't have an issue there. I'm just trying to see if maybe if I reposition track somehow, it'll stay on better. What I'm seeing is the coupler on the tender is higher than the coupler on the coach. So we just changed the way that was sitting. Would I recommend this train set? I would say yes. However, you need to know that there's a good chance these couplers aren't going to stay connected, and you may need to switch over to this Rapido couplers, which isn't a big deal, but it's just something to be aware of. Also, if you're used to Kato like I am, the precision of a Kato is not matched by a Bachmann. I mean, it's not terrible. You know, it does creep. And once you break it in, you know, in first couple times around it's a little choppy, but once you've broken it in, it is a lot smoother and the throttle response is a lot better. So it is not terribly far behind a Kato, but it's not a Kato. So for about $100, this is September of 2025, this train set's about $100 brand new, maybe a little bit less on the used market. But what I was trying to do is find you good starter sets for Christmas, as Christmas sets that are going to break the budget if you haven't had trains or if you just want a train for Christmas. I think this one's pretty good. It's not too bad. I've been running it now for about 20 minutes. The couplers haven't come undone again, so it's probably okay. But it is gonna fail you at some time. Like if you uncouple and couple, I don't have a lot of faith in those couplers, so maybe just be aware of that. But that's the only thing I could really say bad about this train set, is that the couplers are subpar. Everything else, you know, for $100, I think you're getting a pretty good deal. I appreciate you watching. Stick around for more of Tommy's trains. We got a lot more stuff in the next few days before Christmas and right after Christmas, because we are going to go until the 27th of. I might even go till New Year's. It just depends on how much material I can come up with. So I'd like to go to January 2nd. So maybe it'd be like 35 days of Vlogmas, 37, something like that, maybe 40. But after that, I'm pretty much busted for stuff. So appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks. And don't forget, if you are interested in this set, look down below in the comments. I do have the link to Amazon pinned, so you can just click on that and it'll take you right there to do your shopping. Appreciate it. Take care.